So is it keep things cold or hot?
No, it's like almost a couch caddy. I sent you, I added Greg in the video too. So it's like a couch caddy, man. It's insane. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Is that all right? Welcome in. It is finally here, Friday. One more day to get through before we actually have the return of playoff football, and hopefully it'll be a little more super than that super wild card weekend. It's the PrizePicks NFL Strategy Show. So we're going to get you prepared. We're going to give you some money-making opportunities here on PrizePicks. EMac, really, he's done all the hard work. I can't steal any credit. Mike Awesemo is here producing the show. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Thumbs up right away. Make sure you're subscribed. And of course, look, PrizePicks is allowing us to not only match your first deposit up to $100, but we're also going to give you a month free of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, my friend, we have come down to it across the board. 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and a lot here on PrizePicks.
Yeah, this is looking like a really good time here. It's going to be a fun weekend. Ideally, the games are going to be a little closer than most of what we saw in the extended Super Wildcard weekend. And the other thing that's hooking us up proper right off the bat, PrizePicks has Patrick Mahomes for half a yard or more passing. So you can use that for up to $25 in contests. I will say what I have done previously when they've done this is I've made 2, 3, 4, 5. I just put in $5 or $10 cards so I can use it as many times as possible. The thought being is I go in and I say, all right, well, I'm going to go for the full Monty. I'm going to make 5 card questions. I only got to find 4 of them. If I find 4 I like, then I can get that flex pick and I can get the 10X for only getting 4 right, because we're going to assume we get that Patrick Mahomes right, because we haven't projected for about 280 passes.
Sure. I think he's going to hit that. But look, a lot of times 98% off is really 99% off, right? Yeah, make sure that my eyes aren't completely gone. And here's the thing. You're getting 99% off on a guy that's an automatic lock. Think about this. From similar sites to just books, so much of this is either a capped bet boost or it's only available for new people, right? Hey, you sign up now and you can get Patrick Mahomes 99% off. PrizePicks does this with the Taco Tuesday each and every Tuesday. Major stuff like this with Mahomes. We've done other NFL bonuses here on the show. This is awesome for them to do that. And again, it's for everybody across the board. So it doesn't matter if you're sharp like EMac or if you're just new to the show and you just signed up. All right, man, we never have enough time on this show to dabble around all over the place. And you've done so much hard work as far as all of the research combined with what we have on site, Awesemo's projections. So let's start. And again, things are whittling down here by all means in the season, but let's start in the air as we always do.
All right, so we're going to look at a little Saturday action here. Matthew, for this first one, Matthew Stafford passing. I'm sorry. I get that backwards. That is I got my games written down backwards. That's the Sunday game.
Wait.
So between
Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Right?
So sorry. I got Garoppolo here and I've got him going into Green Bay, taking on the Packers. We are looking at a 218.5 over under on PrizePicks for his passing yards. The books are at between 230 and 235. Awesemo has him at 233. Now, if we are hoping 1, he's healthy, and 2, he's somewhat effective, that's a reasonable number, that 215. That's kind of like what we'd like to think of as a baseline for even the worst quarterbacks in most games. Hi, Mr. Lawrence, rookie, I'm looking at you. But tough defense, tough matchup, cold weather, all of that. He has his own rookie lurking there. If this game's completely out of hand, do the coaches give the rookies some postseason experience? I don't know. So I called this one out that it looks good, but I think it's a stay away, but it depends how
Okay.
you feel. Now we're going to talk about some of the running backs here for the Green Bay side. So you could conceivably say, hey, if Green Bay's up and running, that means San Francisco is going to have to be passing. Let's put those together and see if we can get some synergy. I just don't feel that this is quite the slam dunk play that it looks like on the page, unless you believe that Garoppolo is mostly healthy and that the weather is not going to be a factor. It's really cold. It's in Green Bay, all that fun stuff. But I thought that was one that popped really good, but I'm tepid on it. The other one that I do like for sure here is the Rams heading into Tampa Bay. So this was one of the best picks that Awesemo had percentage-wise of success. So we have 272 passing yards there for Matthew Stafford. Awesemo's projecting him for 297.5. That's a 70% success rate. The Buccaneers do have the 10th best passing DVOA, the 12th best rushing DVOA, but we saw the addition of Cam Akers here was good. Not only did he look good, you could tell he had fresh legs. Again, he's missed the entire season. He went down towards I think it was like week 3 of, however they do preseason anymore. It was about 2 weeks before the regular season. So we didn't know when he'd be back, etc. He looked pretty good, had about a 40-yard catch, had a couple nice runs, had one run. I forget if it was a run or a catch that was called back, but he looked pretty good out there. He's someone that we're going to talk about in this as well. But back to Matthew Stafford, I just think there's enough things that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have to look for that we could see the volume here for Stafford. And this is one where we've said this countless times throughout the season. I don't think he's going to get there till the fourth quarter. It's going to be midway through the fourth quarter. It's going to be nip and tuck, but I think he gets there.
Yeah, look, this has been moving because I've been monitoring it, pardon me, since earlier in the week when these things came on, both Brady and Stafford's passing props on the books. And I'm surprised, but definitely happy to see that it's still at 272.5 on Stafford. It's moved north of 10, maybe even more, depending on where you're looking. I'm in PA here looking at the book. So I'm at 282.5 or so, around that number. You're still getting under that. And how can you not love the overs really for both quarterbacks, but definitely Stafford? We've seen this Rams team when their dogs hit the over a lot, 10 of 11 times, right? And a lot of that is either they know they have to throw because they're not favored. They're either the worst team coming in, worst of the two teams coming in, or as you mentioned, Stafford and this offense gets cooking because they're down and they need to start closing this gap. So I looked at this, thought anything over 286, maybe 288.5, I'd take another look at it. 272.5 is an absolute gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are the key ones,
especially with
Mahomes,
like
there from the passing.
Right. Okay. Now let's hit the rushing yards, because you have a guy that I am financially invested in across the board, but you're going to go 1-2 punch here back to that Green Bay game. Is that correct on the ground?
Absolutely. And I think this one is rather interesting because both running backs here are under where we would think they would be. And I think we can go with both of them. We had, I can't remember if it was towards the last week of the season, the last meaningful game they played, we were in a similar situation, and we were kind of saying, pick the game script you want. I wouldn't want both Aaron Jones and Dillon on my same card. They both ended up getting there in that game, but it was more of you hope Jones gets there early and Dillon gets there late, etc.
Yep.
This one, their numbers are low enough that I feel relatively comfortable having both of them. I wouldn't force them on the same card, but I wouldn't be against it by any stretch. So you have Aaron Jones, 46.5 rushing yards on PrizePicks. Awesemo has him for 56.5. That's a 60% success rate. It gets even better with A.J. Dillon. PrizePicks knocks him down 8 yards to 38.5. Awesemo says, oh, not so fast, my friend. We're going to give him 2 more yards than Aaron Jones, because they're sort of thinking that, there could be some fourth quarter bonus time there for Dillon, and he's got a 73% success rate of succeeding at 38.5 yards. So that would be pick number 1. For me, it would probably be about pick number 4 on my card when I'm utilizing that Patrick Mahomes before I would circle back and put in Aaron Jones. But again, it's like that. These are not crazy numbers by any stretch.
No, we've seen Jones go over that 53 straight games. And the thing that stands out is volatility in carries didn't matter. Now, granted, we're talking about a 3-game stretch here, but already, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The game script's going to allow both of these running backs to coexist. We should definitely lean to the over on both of these guys because of the amount of volume of carries. But back to Jones, and this is who I really like in this. We've seen this where it's been single-digit carries. It's been relying on him. He's been able to make the most. He's got big play capability. He can definitely take a little bit more of the share of the load, right? So going over this number for both, I'm with you. For me, it's Jones if I had to choose, but I could definitely see both and easily bet and put both on this PrizePicks tickets, especially because I think people were going to look at, oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw. No, you mentioned it, man. What's going to be 0 degrees out there? -5 degrees?
That horrible, but it is going to be in
with
the teams
wind.
trending towards single digits.
Yeah,
and
okay.
yes, then there's a little bit of a breeze.
And then there's always the feels like, right?
Feels like, yeah. The feels like is it's going to be stay home.
All right, man. So we covered the 2 Packers running backs on the ground right now. Let's keep it moving. A couple of more running backs here. And you mentioned Cam Akers. We'll get to Cam, but we can't talk rushing yards this week without Derrick Henry.
All right. So Derrick Henry is back. And
yes,
this is a number that is going to move. So he gave an interview. I've lost track of days, but he gave an interview within the last 48 hours, more or less, with a wink and a nod. Are you going to be ready to go? And the answer is it sounds like he's going to be a full go for this one. So your question then depends. All right, well, what does that really mean? Because we thought Darrell Williams was going to be a full go, and it was the Jerick McKinnon show. We didn't know what was going on with Cam Akers. He looked great. So again, this is going to be one. I guess we're going to know. We're going to find out when we find out. However, the sites are pretty enticing right now, or at least PrizePicks is 75.5 rushing yards for Derrick Henry. The books are at 80 to 83. Awesemo has him for 105. Now, Awesemo is projecting him full health, full workload, no questions asked. We saw Henry was leading the league in rushing yards per game. He was up amongst the touchdown leaders, all that good stuff. But he is someone that this number is way too low if we assume health. And I think we need to in this case. And I think we need to assume 15. He could get it on 15, 75 yards on 15 carries is not a tough ask for him. No. And if he gets 20 carries, he's going to end up breaking one for 20 or 25 yards, right? So then we're going to get there. So this is one that I think probably will go up to 80, low 80s. It wouldn't shock me if the books get up to the mid to upper 80s by the time we get to kickoff, depending on everybody looking at it and, feeling the fervor of, oh, it's Derrick Henry. Remember how good he is? Because he is that good.
Yeah, I think this is a very attainable number. We should expect volume here. I can't imagine that Derrick Henry is being out like this is a test right now for Derrick Henry this week. It's all hands on deck. So it's a combination, right, of Henry playing through some injury, but it's also the fact that he's not out there just to share. It's not like, hey, man, expect 20, 25% carries. Foreman's done a great job for us. No. Derrick Henry's coming in here to take over. If you like the Titans, which I do, maybe an underplay, which I do, definitely see Derrick Henry back. You mentioned he's back. Like, I think he's going to be back, like capital B back by when it's all said and done.
All right. I see one other one in chat. They're asking, how do I feel about the Elijah Mitchell?
Yep.
Or Elijah Mitchell. So he's 76.5 rushing yards on PrizePicks. I don't really want any part of that. You still have Deebo Samuels lurking. That's kind of an issue for me. We've seen, I doubt we'll see it this time, but George Kittle has been in the backfield before. Kyle Juszczyk is lurking. We're going to talk about him, but to me, it just seems like it's a bit of an ass there for Mitchell for 75.5 rushing yards. If that was his combined yards, maybe, but I still wouldn't feel great about it. He doesn't catch that many passes, but I wouldn't feel great about it. If we go look at the Packers, they are 28th in rushing DVOA, so not great, but the problem is there's a variety of ways this could go for Mitchell. Do we look up and it's midway through the third quarter and he has 15 carries for 75 yards? Maybe, wouldn't shock me, but I don't want to put our hard-earned money on this. I don't want you to put your hard-earned money on this. So this is a stay away from me.
It's a pretty sharp number as a whole. I'm with you, man. All right, you have one more rushing guy to get to. We brought him up earlier as far as Cam Akers. He's back. You want to talk about a guy who's back, and clearly the week prior to last week, right, was more of a tune-up. So he's back in the rotation, but there's also other guys that we have to factor in here. So what was really jumping out at you with Akers?
So Akers was it was kind of the eye test. Just watching that game is like, okay, no hitch in the old giddy up. Seems to be moving smoothly. I would think half the carries seem reasonable. He just looked good in the ones he had. Does it feel right about 10, 12 carries? Okay, that works for me. And that's a decent chance for him to get 45 yards. Could he get a few more? Sure. But I'm not going into this with stars in my eyes. This is another one I could see. I mean, so Awesemo has him at like 56.5. I think our fair, like if I was betting you, I would say, all right, Eytan, 53.5. If we thought he was going to play about half the snaps, half the game, I'd feel that's where I'd be like, all right, you can take either side. I feel about right on this. If he was fully healthy, this number would be closer to 85. We don't know what's going on. And frankly, Sony Michel has carved out a role for himself and he's done quite well. So why not burn a few carries with him if it's one of those situations where we can run and it doesn't matter. They know we're going to run. And Mitchell has proven that he's okay in the past as well, or at least he's not, he will be in the backfield and they'll just throw it to somebody else and he's not getting targets. But him being in the game at this point, unlike with the Patriots, doesn't mean they're going to run by any stretch.
All right. So sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we're good.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if that was a pause after I cut in or if you were done now that I look back at it.
It was both. I was trying to take breath there because, I was talking a lot. I like to hear
but that's fine.
My own voice.
Normally you're faster on those breaths. That's why. Maybe that's what threw me off.
It's been a long week. My counterpart at the day job resigned, so I'm having to learn all her stuff and top of mind and all of that. So long.
Do you at least get a heads up? Friday. Or was it just like a screw you? I'm out of here.
No. She's good. She's a good person. She gave us a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh no, a good person could say screw you. I'm out of here. Don't get me wrong.
We're good enough friends that she would be a phone a friend if I neaded her for anything covering her stuff. So
you can phone Mike or myself too if you need something. Just so you know, right? We're here for you.
Absolutely.
All right. You talked about George Kittle. Look, the guy was a blocker. He was relegated to basically being an extra lineman for the majority of that Cowboys game. But now this week, Green Bay, if they're going to beat Green Bay, if they're going to cover that line, if they're going to hang in that game, they're going to have to use him downfield. Looks like the number on PrizePicks is more recency bias to last week than what we should expect, right?
Yeah, and for the record, I had him in the vast majority of not only my PrizePicks cards, but in my parlays across the other sites. He did not even come close to getting there. He barely had any targets at all. That was incredibly frustrating for that one. It's going to happen. I still think the number's okay. This is something that he can easily attain. Even in I'm calling up his game logs here. Even though down the stretch, his numbers weren't outstanding in his last 3 games. Prior to that, and even coming back from his injury, 93 yards, 150, 180, 13, 34, 50, 105. Yep. So, him getting around 40 seems pretty reasonable. You can see Awesemo is not saying this is an easy one. About a 63% chance of success. I'm comfortable with it. I don't mind going back to it. Just kind of bad luck last week. We know, the pass rush was on. They needed him. And hey, guess what? Worked out. They won the game. They're playing this weekend. So we can't.
Yeah, look. And I think, clearly you can make the argument, injury aside, that it's going to be easier to move the football down the middle of the field this week with George Kittle, or at least get him down the field. So take advantage of that, especially if there's more pressure, if there's some type of game plan to try to take at least Samuel out of the game. We know that if they're down, clearly that's going to take Mitchell out, and that's going to indicate a lot of keeping the ball on the ground. So, yeah, Kittle, I think there are a lot of pathways for Kittle going over there by all means. And look, there's a pretty significant gap, too. You mentioned the 63% chance of it going over. You're at nearly, you're just over, 15 yards as far as difference of projection, what we have. So, all right, let's keep that moving now. We go to the Bucs game. This is the first time, right, that we've brought outside of – no, this is the first time it's come up.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, Cam Akers. Cam Akers. That's right. We just had
Akers,
one.
But normally we're talking Brady. I was pretty surprised. Not going after Brady on this one. A lot of moving parts here, but I do think Tyler Johnson is quite interesting at 27.5 yards. Now, he did only get 3 targets in the last game. We saw the resurgence of Giovanni Bernard, who was dinged up and or out of favor most of the season. He got 7 targets out of the backfield. We saw Cam Brate get 3. Keyshawn Vaughn had 2. But Tyler Johnson in there with 3. So amongst the receivers, obviously the key pass catchers, Mike Evans with 10, Gronk with 6. These are targets. So, okay, that makes sense, right? It's that we were expecting them to be the 2 most targeted players. The Giovanni Bernard, a little bit of a surprise, but if you just say running back is up there, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then it was Tyler Johnson with 3. So Tyler Johnson is a decent receiver. He just kind of gets lost in the mix. I mean, when you think that you have Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin in front of you, and then he had to go beat out Scotty Miller, who was better than him last year, or at least, superseded him last year. You've got Brashad Perryman lurking around there. You've got multiple tight ends. There's, you've got to carve out a role for yourself. Well, he does have that chance now that obviously without Godwin and Brown. And I think we're kind of going to see him there. You can't have Mike Evans out there literally on every single snap. They're going to try, but he's just not built for more than about 70% of the snaps. So I think there's an opportunity there for Tyler Johnson. This number is low enough. Again, this would be kind of a 4 or a 5 question card where I would get to this one. But amongst all of the options, and I combed through all of them, this was one of the ones that stood out. And then Kyle Juszczyk. So 8.5 receiving yards for PrizePicks. Awesemo has him for 16.1. It's about a 70% success rate. This is just one of those where he just needs 2 targets, and that's his, right? That's his. We saw him, I don't have that game log up. We saw him, I think he had 1 or 2 carries in the last game and a target or 2. So, I mean, we know he's always lurking. He just needs one of those catches, a screen pass, oh crap, you're blocking for me. I got flushed out to the right. I'm going back to you. That's all we need is just one of those. And now Eytan will be talking about when we get to the Super Bowl, fullback yardage, 3.5, insert nameless fullback here. But this is one where I think is a solid play. We aren't going full degen just yet. We will.
No.
We will.
Give me time on that. I'll find one that's scraping the bottom of the bottom on that barrel by all means. 2 catches, 3 targets last week for 15 yards. That's exactly what you described. Exactly that. And look, how does the game plan differ so much that he's not getting that? And look, even the last couple of weeks, 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's gone over 3 targets. That other game, he's had 2 targets, and he's still gone over this number at 9 and over that 8.5 in the 2 target game. So it seems as if, at least over the last 3 games that he's played, that the 49ers are going to make or not going to vary or move away from a game plan that just phases him out entirely. All right, let's move now from receiving yards. And again, we appreciate you hanging with us. Hit that thumbs up button, please, if you haven't already. PrizePicks, looking what we're doing, building this ticket here. You see Mike building it here for us as EMac gives selections. If you haven't signed up, you're just here hanging, seeing what this is all about. Now you have an understanding. It's simple. It's over. It's under. It's taking advantage of our own projections we have on Awesemo, using that to your benefit as EMac is explaining. Pardon me. EMac is explaining, for some reason, was hard to get out. I apologize. Get 1 free month of Awesemo plus Platinum, and then do that sign up, and then you can really hang with us and maximize your returns, man. All right, let's move it here from receiving yards. We have a couple more to get to. Fantasy points, receptions, kind of tagged in there. Can't let you go without interceptions and touchdowns either.
Yeah, and those ones will blaze through. But the one I wanted to point out, so fantasy points, you never pick us unders, EMac. Well, I know that. And we who wants to root for unders? Nobody except Ben Raza. Who wants to root for overs? Everybody. PrizePicks knows that. So things are going to shade a little bit lower, not enough to dramatically be a gimme across the board, but they're the ones that they know what we like to do, and they're going to entice us with this, not trick us, just entice us. That's the way to go. But this was an interesting one. So Jeff Swaim, 3 fantasy points. So I went and looked at all of the fantasy points. So they have full point PPR and then standard fantasy scoring for everything else, no yardage bonuses, but it is full PPR. There was nothing that came out on the fantasy points, but I did remember seeing in our daily picks channel. This is a special channel that is in the Awesemo Discord. It is free for now. Ultimately, this will be part of a betting package, but Ben Rossa and Alex Baker dropped the picks in there every day for different things that they're looking at. And Alex dropped one in, and these are the ones that Alex's model goes through and looks at all of these, finds the best bets, and then he not only does he just not using Odds Chopper, he just cuts it down even further and says, here's the ones I think you should go for. So he actually has under 2.5 receptions for Jeff Swaim. Now, under 3 fantasy points, 2.5 receptions, that's 2 different things because it's full PPR. Like I mentioned that. If he gets 2 catches, he's getting 3 fantasy points.
Yes,
but we could still take that 2.5 under over there on a betting site because Alex has called that out as one of the 5 excellent bets for this weekend. And that's in the Discord channel. You want the other 4? Well, you're going to have to join Awesemo to get those. But as Eytan said, come in on PrizePicks, use our promo code Awesemo. We'll get you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content, and we'll hook you up with a $100 deposit match with PrizePicks on your first deposit. So that will get you those other 4 picks here. And I'm liking them. I made them into a little parlay. That should be fun. The other one that you guys can easily see is Jamar Chase reception. So we can look over there at Odds Chopper. We can see the numbers coming out. Alex's model say about 4.8 or 4.9 receptions. Most books have him at 6.5. Odds Chopper or 5.5. The PrizePicks has him at 6. So we get a push. If he gets 6, we don't win or lose that. That just comes out of our card. A 5-question card becomes a payout for a 4-question card. A 3 becomes a 2. A 2 becomes a push. You have to have at least 2 questions that are valid. But even though it's a tie, we don't lose, we don't win. It just comes out. So that gives a little extra bonus for when they don't have a hook on there. That you get a tiny bit of cushion. But Awesemo is saying there's a 65% chance he goes below 5.5. For the regular betting. Yep. So we get 6 here. So that's kind of a tie. So that means the failure rate of that is, or he exceeds 6, probably 25 to 30% of the time. Give him about 10% to tie on that 6, which doesn't hurt us. And then the rest of the time we win. So that's one I feel pretty strongly about. We just need to understand how the math works on that. And then rounding us out, because I know we're up against time here, the picks, half or more, because that's what they have to do. Josh Allen, we're saying, has an 80% chance of throwing an interception this week.
I like that a lot.
Mahomes, Brady, and Tannehill are all 70 to 75%. And then touchdowns, anytime touchdown, Josh Allen 2.5. Awesemo has him for 2.4. But we get anytime touchdown. That means rushing or passing. So he's one that's right on the number. Maybe we get down to a single game card and you just need something to root for. Come on, let's root for Josh Allen. It's pretty exciting there. You also have Deebo Samuel. We have him anytime touchdown at 50%. We have him at 55%. That includes his receiving and rushing opportunities. We have Devin Singletary at 60% chance of a touchdown.
Like that a lot.
And then anytime touchdown. And then Tyreek Hill receiving touchdown, 62% chance. So those are the final ones to call out your card. I would make most of my cards with one of those quarterback interceptions. And then I would make sure I get that Patrick Mahomes half yard. And then I would put in 3 other ones that I feel pretty confident about. And I would make 3 or 4 or 5 cards in the $5 to $10 range so I can use up that $25 of Patrick Mahomes. Because once you use up your $25 of Patrick Mahomes cards,
that's it.
You don't get the Patrick Mahomes more than half yard. It becomes 271 yards. So.
Right, which is a lot. At that point, that's a significant difference. That's 99% versus not. So we definitely want you to jump on that. As we've been telling you, the promo code right with the link, just click on that. You'll be fine. Sign up. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. And then you'll get that 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum so you can continue to do some damage out here. All we ask is that you just hit that thumbs up button, and please make sure you're subscribed. This thing is growing by the second. This community is gigantic. So we appreciate you all hanging with us. EMac, Mike, we'll see you guys, right? Next week, Super Bowl soon. Get ready. Couple of weeks out. Live before lock, NBA deeper dive, all of that starts 4:45 right here. So don't go anywhere.